Welcome to the Desert Sanctuary with Carl and Laura Forehand.
Often when we have doubts about religion or simply want to ask questions, it can feel like we are wandering out into the desert.
We would like to invite you to join our sanctuary, the Desert Sanctuary.
We've tried to pick guests that would resonate with and challenge us and our fellow seekers here in the desert.
We believe that a key to the journey is to keep asking good questions, and we believe that all stories are sacred.
Our hope is that you will find life and healing for your body and mind, and that you will be able to be where you are and be who you are.
And now, here is our show. Hi, welcome to the Desert Sanctuary podcast. I'm Laura Forehand. I'm here with Carl Forehand, and we are going to continue going through maybe even the last part of your book, Campfires in the Desert, a deconstruction travel guide. And we left off with asking some good questions. So thought we'd pick up from there. Anything you want to say before we get started?
Yes, I was going to say right after this, right after the questions are done. So we're going to do 10 through 16 or whatever is left here. But then we're going right into interviews we talked to the Trauma Collective not too long ago.
Right.
They're coming up, I think, first. And then we are also talking to survivors again. A couple of books that have been written. I was encouraged a couple of years ago to listen to survivor stories, and we passed that advice along and interviewed a lot of them. So we're doing that again because, once again, I finally took the advice and I'm reading actual stories, and it's hard, and but it's really good and fruitful. And so we want to talk about that and get it out in the open and those kind of things. But we're going to continue on with the questions today, right?
Sounds good. So where we left off, the next question that we have is, are we addicted to religion?
Yeah, it's number 10, right?
Yeah.
So are we addicted to religion? I wouldn't have said so when we were involved in it, but I think I can say that pretty comfortably now. In Out into the Desert, our book, we talked about being addicted to religion. There's a codependence that develops because of our need for connection. We need to be connected to people. We need attachment. We get that as an infant, right? But
well, hopefully we get that.
Hopefully, and then we're constantly trying to, and where it usually comes out is we want to fit in. That's an unhealthy attachment, right? Trying to fit in. Both of us have wrestled with that and talked about that in the past. But religion has evolved, I would say. And when we find things that work, that bring people back, we do those things. And so in the book I talk about, I won't go into too excessively, but in the book we talk about like the hypnotic, what it takes to hypnotize somebody. Very similar with the church service.
Right.
Even in the 90s and early 2000s when we were in ministry, there was a lot of talk about going to conferences to find out how you could more effectively draw people in through your worship service. And of course you considered, well, we're trying to do something good, so it's all right to draw them in. But I think it's really important for people to take a step back, get outside of your normal practices of religion and take a hard look at it. Am I addicted to this thing? And after, a couple of weeks, a few months, see if that doesn't fade. I remember for us, we were in the coffee shop over at Auburn. We had gone to brunch about 10 a.m. on Sunday morning, and we just realized this is fine. This is relaxing. We can talk. We can work on our relationship. We can work on the things we need to work on, and we didn't have to get dressed and go somewhere else and do this thing that people say, I like my church. And of course you do. It feels good, right?
Right.
You can go through that whole long thing. We go from a climate controlled car, we walk into a climate controlled auditorium. People greet us. It's soft music sometimes, it's comfortable, and it's people are welcoming. And they welcome you in, they love bomb you. And you sit down, you hear you hear music that excites you, that moves you, that gets you to that certain point. Then the pastor presents a problem to you and then solves it for you.
Mm-hmm.
And all of that's addictive. And people would literally
Yeah.
say to me on the way out the door, thanks for the fix,
Mm-hmm.
because they knew it'd fade away about Monday, and then they'd kind of pre-use in their minds till they could come back.
Right. Right.
Right.
Yeah. And like, I always kind of want to stop when we say, look at why you're going to church, because I think we're just, unless you really dig deep, it is very surface, and you can really find all the right reasons for why you're going to church. But I think we should dig a little bit deeper. Like, are we going just because we've always gone? That's what we've always done. If you say you're getting something out of it, like community, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, if you want to go because you have a great community, that's fantastic. But just recognize that that's not the only place that you can get community. That is a type of community. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it's like, it's just
Sometimes
so
not
easy
even.
to be like, well, of course I go to church, but
Mhm.
asking, being curious and asking yourself, well, why? Is it because it's become a habit, a routine, something you've always done? Do you feel like if you don't, you're going to go to hell? That's
Mhm.
problematic.
I mean, is it really community? Are you really getting community? Are you having deep conversations with people, or are you listening to one person?
hmm
Um, you might get that, that concert they put on for you every week might be good, might do some things for you, but would a concert do the same thing?
hmm
The real community, the real healing part of that comes when you go to lunch with someone afterwards and have face to face and real community.
hmm
The community doesn't usually happen in the church. If it does, it's in the smaller groups.
Yeah.
And those kind of things happen all over the place at work, in your own family, in your own neighborhood. We've
hmm
grown closer with one of our neighbors recently, and
hmm
that's good. That's community,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I just have a real problem sometimes with like trunk or treat that takes you out of your community, creates a faux community, and we trick or treat in the back to people's cars, and
Yeah.
it's all manufactured and it's all just to get you closer to their building
hmm
so that you'll come back.
Also, I was going to say, even small groups and things like that. I mean, it's orchestrated in such a way that, I mean, to have real community, it's like, I mean, I every summer go, my friend Allison and I, we try to get together. She teaches in Kansas, I teach here in Missouri. We used to teach together, but we want to stay in touch, right? So when we make our date over the summer to have lunch together, we aren't saying like, okay, we got 45 minutes. That's all the time we have,
Mhm.
and like in small groups, that's great. It's a step forward, but you only have so much time. So then what do you like how do you continue that community afterwards? And that's where like what you're talking about, making that important time for each other to have those deep conversations that really
Mhm.
matter.
That made me think of sometimes when people have been coming to our house. I would go through all these motions, and basically it's I'm going to perform for you. I'm going to set this stuff up that we can do. I'm going to play this show on TV, and I want you to do this. And then that's all planned, and but the real community is not that.
Mm.
That's the activities that we're
Right,
doing.
right.
And especially if I have to do that every week, then what I'm doing is causing you to become codependent on my planning and my
Mm-hmm.
all that I do. So,
And my ability to entertain you, even,
mhm. Yeah,
we
exactly.
kind of come to rely on that.
Nothing
So,
wrong with entertainment, and
no.
we could go to a concert, we go to listen to a speaker, we can get one online just as easy, but and we can have those same
Mm-hmm.
endorphins and so on kick in. But real community, if you really want community, it's a little harder than that, but it's much simpler than that. It's basically listening, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, for
Like for
sure.
everything else.
Right. Okay, so next question is, does God require worship? Man, I struggle with this one. I'm gonna listen to you, and then I'll see if I have anything to interject there.
Yeah, it's getting a little more distance between when I wrote the book and the last time I read it and things like that. And we took a break in between the
Mm,
first set of questions and this. But does God require worship? And the example I want to use right now, the one that came to mind, is I have a good relationship with my son. I
mm.
think, would you agree with that?
I
I
think you
mean,
have a good relationship with all your kids, though.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, you and JD do a podcast together, so yes, it's a different type of relationship than you have with your daughters, but I feel like you're close to all our kids.
yeah. I'm thankful for that.
Yeah.
But I wanted my children when they were growing up to respect me. I probably tried a little too hard to get them to do everything I wanted them to do and so on. But over time, I learned how to have that relationship with
Hmm.
them. And I wanted them, if I did something for them, to be thankful, right?
Hmm.
I gave them some money, bailed them out. I want them to at least say thanks. But what I didn't want them to do, I didn't want them to come back every day and go, "Oh, holy dad, you're so awesome. You're so great. I can't live without you. I can do nothing without you. I'm nothing without you, dad." I didn't want them to grovel at my feet. There were some things I could get them out of. There were some things that I could provide for them. There's some little bit of wisdom I might have passed on to them,
Hmm.
and so on. And I could set an example for them. But as a father, which the Bible talks about God as a father,
Hmm.
as a father, I didn't want them to worship me.
Hmm.
They're a person that needs to be worshiped, an entity that needs to be worshiped is immature.
Hmm.
The worst leaders, take it for what you want in current politics, you can name these guys, but the people that need constant attention and
Hmm.
focus and worship are the worst people in the world.
Hmm.
They're dictators. They don't care about little people, and so on. So I don't. If God exists, I don't think He's like that or she's like that.
Hmm.
Um, that they would require worship, and even Jesus said, all this sacrificial system needs to go.
Hmm.
I want mercy. You know,
Hmm.
so not sacrifice. And so we don't, the best thing for us is for our kids to live responsible
Hmm.
lives and contribute to society and raise their families and have fun.
Hmm.
Um, I don't want them to be, first of all, codependent on me,
Right.
like we talked about worship last time. I mean, about going to church. But so I don't want them to be codependent on me forever, right?
Hmm.
I don't want to create a codependency with
Hmm.
them, and I don't want them to have to worship, praise,
Hmm.
serve me all of their life. And that's exactly the narrative Christianity
Yeah.
has grown into
Right.
is I want to serve you, Lord. I'm nothing without you.
Right.
You're God, if God's any good at all, he doesn't want that. And that's not the right mix.
And so that's so funny because like as you were saying that I'm like, and if that truly isn't how God is and that's not what he wants, why can't his people hear him say that? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like why can't if they're so in tune to God, then why can't they hear him go, this is gross. Can you guys please stop that? Because I think the exact same thing. It's like I don't have any respect for people or a deity who is so narcissistic that they literally act like a child who isn't getting their way. And, you know, we get punished because we're not praising him enough, we're not
Mm.
praying to him enough, or we're not doing this enough or that
Yeah,
enough. And
that's
I'm
right.
just like,
Life's not going
right. And I'm just like, I have no respect for a God like that, which I think is part of the reason why like I can't, we've talked to different people. I've listened to several podcasts from people that have been through like religious and spiritual abuse and trauma. And, it always surprises me when they're like, but I still believe in God today. And I don't know, like somehow I had too much of too many things kind of meld together that I
Mhm.
cannot separate that. And I'm curious how they've been able to do that. I don't discount that they are having a real life lived experience in what they believe, even though they've been through some really shitty things in the church and because of religious leaders. But that's neither here nor there, I guess. But I, for one, cannot. I just I struggle to worship a God because of the narrative around God. And as somebody who really thought at one time that they were super in tune with God, I've never heard him, her, they say, you know, y'all have this wrong. Like stop bowing down to me and
Right,
stop it.
right.
So anyway,
Yeah, and so
I'm trailing off, but
but serving and even in serving God, these survivor stories, the one I read a couple of days ago, most of the inability to get out of the situation she was in is because she thought her family, her religion were good, and
mhm.
that they had her beliefs along those lines is what's confined her. So I can believe I need to go to church, believe I need to worship God, and in a way that can confine me, not to doing what's good, not to having real community, but it can confine me and keep me from evolving
Mm,
from the trouble I'm in right now or
mhm.
the bad situation I'm in. Well, I've got to stick it out because God wants me to suffer and God, wants me to get the praise and all this. And
That's
maybe,
another layer.
and yeah,
God wants you to suffer,
yeah, and maybe
really?
it's all my fault because if he does it, then if something good happens, it's him. If something bad, it must be my fault, and I'm not serving him enough, and so on. So you get in those
Yeah, it's a
traps.
huge
It's
spiral.
a trap. Yeah,
Yeah. But I mean, what an asshole to be like, you're gonna suffer. You need to
right.
suffer for me. And
Yeah,
I mean,
screw that.
yeah, no
You're not
joke.
doing that.
Nope. Okay, well, man,
Woo, got worked
these
up.
get me kind of riled up. Okay. So next question is, what do I fear?
Yeah. I I just want to say very simply, I could start it this way. Just the most fearful people in the world are evangelical Christians.
Yep, sure enough.
No, I mean, no ifs, ands, buts about it. They quote hundreds of and avow hundreds of verses in their Bible that says, "Do not fear, fear,
And
be not afraid."
how big and good and
There's,
great God
and
is.
God is in control.
Yep,
Just if you really believed God is in control, you wouldn't be afraid.
exactly.
You know somewhere inside you it's not true. That's why you're afraid. But they've they have to have the fear to have the control. And
Hmm.
that's been since the early centuries, 200 AD or something, whatever it's called now.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Common error. So from the early two, 300s, when religion started gaining prominence, Christianity, then they had to have control. So they found with control, you need fear,
Mm.
right? So whether it's satanic panic or fear of the communists or whatever, when we gen up fear, um, then we can control it. And we can keep people real simple-minded,
We can keep them
real
sucked in. Hmm.
uneducated.
And we're
There's
not saying that people are uneducated and simple-minded.
right,
That's not what we're saying.
exactly.
We know, we know that everybody has the ability to critically think.
But there's
So,
but there's
but
but there's a real um, fear and trepidation to learn and grow and learn about science and learn about all the intricacies and other religions and things like that and nuance and
mhm.
you just don't want to go there because you're afraid that you're just going to slip into hell. You're going to accidentally, you know, slip into a lifestyle that's horrible or whatever.
Mhm.
So you live in that fear. Your life is real simple. I go to church. I pray. I read my Bible. That's all I need to do. Don't read any other books. Just in that fear paralyzes you, keeps you from
Mhm.
growing. I guess is my point.
Mhm.
Keeps you from exploring.
Mhm. Keeps
Um,
you from staying
just
curious.
yeah, keeps you
Yeah.
in a little community, and then you call me like someone did the other day and tell me I'm not a true Christian anymore. and that's what I don't want to be.
I mean,
And
I'm not sure that that's the insult they were hoping it would
I know.
be. I don't know,
Why are you
but
going the other side
okay.
and you're convincing others to go
I
that
don't, and
way?
I disagree with that statement. I
Yeah.
don't think you are trying to convince anybody of anything.
Yeah.
I think you're putting information out there, and
And
we
that's
are
scary.
hoping, yeah.
Afraid again.
Well, because you people might start going, I'm curious, I'm more curious about what Carl has to say, and I want to look into that.
Yeah.
And that's scary for this person
Yeah.
that
And us true Christians, us real deal guys, we all learn from maybe my grandfather, maybe my dad, someone that didn't go to seminary even, or a pastor that was a seminarian or whatever. We just never got beyond our boundaries.
hmm
And so we kept believing what we always believed, and that's safe. That seems
yeah,
safe to us. But
yeah.
I would say it's not safe for you because you're not dealing with the real picture of the world. You're not learning when new understandings come.
hmm
Fear not only paralyzes you, I think fear stunts our growth mentally,
Yeah.
spiritually, and
Well, it keeps
so
you,
on.
in a way, it keeps you stuck. I
Yeah.
mean, uh, there were so many things that I would not want to think about or do because of, what Christianity dictated. But the other thing too, and maybe you mentioned this and I totally missed it, but it's like for as powerful as their God is, they honestly, evangelical Christians believe that Satan is more powerful
Yeah.
because Satan can trip anybody up at any time. Well, if God is so, so powerful, then how can Satan?
I sometimes
I
say,
mean, it becomes like just this, modge podge of thoughts because then people are, well, free will, God gives people free will. And I'm just like, okay. I mean, you're just spinning your
if you
wheels.
truly believe God is in control, you shouldn't be afraid.
Right.
If you believe that God is all powerful, all knowing, all loving, He's in control, the sovereignty of God. If you believe in the sovereignty of God, you shouldn't be afraid.
Yeah.
Well, we're weak and we can't. Okay, well, then your belief system is kind of flawed, and
Uh-huh.
you're not really living, believing what you say
What
you
you say
believe.
you are. Right.
So
Yeah.
we have way less fear since we've got removed ourselves from Christian
hmm
because we're finding ways, first of all, to heal ourselves. We're finding out about that some of the things we feared the most weren't even true or weren't
Uh-huh.
anything to worry about,
Right.
right?
But in
We
the
didn't
same
slip into
vein,
sin or slide down a slippery
yeah.
slope. The demons didn't attack us and overpower us and by accident.
But in the same vein, like some of the things that like I was fearful of in Christianity, I mean, I might still have a little bit of fear about them. Probably ever since we had the ghost hunters come to our house, like it's
Yeah.
that stuff. But but and it didn't matter. But the thing is I don't have the guilt and the shame of being fearful, right? So if I have those thoughts that make me a little bit afraid, like, is there spirits outside our house or something like that? It's, I don't feel, I don't feel ashamed to have those thoughts. It's like, but when I was in the church, of course, if I had those thoughts, well, that's because you don't have enough faith and you don't trust enough in God. And yeah, anyway.
So I was looking ahead at the next question. What do I feel?
hmm
And oddly enough, the quote that I chose to put in there, curiosity will conquer fear even more than bravery will.
hmm
So getting curious and asking
Yeah.
questions will conquer a lot of your fears. God in the sense of religion and God in the sense of Christianity never really calmed my fears.
hmm
It gave me kind of a false sense of hope about it that sometimes felt better, but
hmm
most of the time didn't.
Right.
But when we move on to this next question, what do I feel? I wonder if you would like to open up. We didn't plan this out or script anything or anything like that. But why is it important um, to you and I have been doing a lot of trauma stuff, right?
Uh-huh.
We've been going to trauma conferences and volunteering so we can get information. And we volunteer for some organizations, that are
Mm-hmm.
doing things all the time. Like you're in a book study right now and helping with that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm mentoring.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we do some of those kind of things. But yeah, in the world of trauma, I think what most of this is about, I said, understanding trauma and healing involves recognizing the importance of expressing feelings and identifying their sources within ourselves, which is crucial
Uh-huh.
for recovery.
Yeah.
Now, our biblical Christian knowledge taught different than that. We're waiting for a miracle, it's just going to magically happen. But
Well, or if you pray enough and say the
yeah,
right prayer,
that's right.
you do have a lot of responsibility in, how this turns out. But so just know if it doesn't turn out the way you want it to, you probably didn't do something right. But
I said religion may not address it comprehensively. Faith often prioritizes established narratives over individual feelings and particular facts. So, um, why is it important that we recognize what we feel?
this is just, I'll just go kind of back to my childhood. I was told by someone when I was in the second grade, that, and I was very upset because my teacher
Yeah, I
was,
remember that.
yeah, she was
I don't
she
remember
had
it.
cancer
You
or
telling me
something,
about
from what I remember. She
it.
had cancer and she was going to like miss the last 6 weeks of school. And I loved this teacher, I just loved her. And I remember, being really, really upset about it and crying as any 8, 9 year old would do when their beloved teacher is going to be gone for the rest of the year. And
Hmm.
I remember being told by someone that, my tears were selfish.
Hmm.
And I still remember that. Like, so that was what, I don't want to do the math, but I'm 60 now. So that was, 52 years ago. And I still remember it, and my body still remembers that.
Hmm.
And so even now, when, I'm really sad about something, um, I can get emotional, but rarely in front of anyone will I like shed tears,
Hmm.
like actual tears fall from my eyes. It's like something in me stops that before. Now, I'm not saying like then when I go to bed that night, I might cry because I'm by myself, right? But ignoring our emotions is very detrimental. Your body is going to hold on to that if you don't express it.
Because it's unresolved.
It is unresolved,
Yeah.
and your body, and the thing is that for the last 52 years, anytime that I did get emotional enough for tears to fall, that voice inside my head said, "You're being so selfish right now. Why
Hmm.
are you being so selfish? You're being silly." Um, But it's interesting because I also think the flip side of that is when I see other people cry, I'm like, no, you're doing what your body needs you to do right now. But I still haven't fully given myself permission to do the same thing. So I say all that. It is so important to emotions. Like I just remember hearing this too, Carl, that in the church, like emotions were a bad thing.
Hmm.
And I always struggled with that because I'm like, well, if God
Feelings.
created
We don't
me,
like feelings.
then
Yeah.
I don't understand how this is something bad
Right.
to have emotions, other than, as a woman being subdued and happy, that was the only thing that was acceptable. Anything else, and even in society, if women fight for something, like we see a lot of women right now fighting for injustices that have been done to them. And we have parts of society that are just like, well, they're being ridiculous and it's just women have a lot of names thrown at them just because they are trying to express their
What they're
emotions and their
feeling. Yeah.
grief.
What they're feeling. Yeah.
But also maybe they are so enraged because no one has allowed them to speak.
Hmm.
And you know what, when you stifle what I have to say, then at some point it's going to come out as more explosive
Right.
than it probably wouldn't have been that way had you let me speak to my emotions 5, 6, 10 years ago.
Right.
Anyway,
It gets stuck
it
there.
does get
So,
stuck,
and
and
we could,
somehow it comes out. It's like a pressure cooker. It's gonna come out. And
but it
when we,
doesn't come out in your 60-year-old brain. It comes out in your 8-year-old
yeah.
brain, and that's kind of the way
Well, even when I
it
cry, I
comes.
still hear
Yeah.
that voice in my head, to that 8-year-old child saying, "You're being selfish right
Yeah.
now."
And some people call it integration, but you've gotta feel that, you gotta re-experience it and then integrate it so that from now on we're more apt to deal with it in a 60-year-old
Yeah.
frame of mind. I was gonna read
A 60-year-old frame of mind, here's the deal. If a 60-year-old frame of mind wants to cry like an 8-year-old little girl, then
they
that
need
is
to. They probably
fine.
need
That
to.
is
Yeah,
fine.
exactly.
Like there's not a right or wrong unless you like physically injure somebody because of your anger or
Right.
something like that.
Right. Exactly. So Eugene Gendlin said, "What is split off, not felt, remains the same." So it stays there. Uh, when it is felt, it changes. He says, they think that by not permitting the feeling or the negative ways, they make themselves good. On the contrary, that keeps the negative static, the same from year to year. A few moments of feeling it in your body, and people talk about embodied spirituality and things like that, allows it to change. If there is in you something bad or sick or unsound, let it inwardly be and breathe. That's the only way it can evolve and change into the form it needs.
Hmm.
So much of those survivor stories were suppressing
Hmm.
their innate intuition,
Hmm.
their feelings, it was all. The other day I was in a situation where a kid and his mother, kid had lost a dog and was having
Having real emotions about
big
it.
emotions, right?
I
And
mean, who wouldn't? I would have big emotions if Winston died.
two adults in the room stopped that. They went, "Oh, it's okay. Be happy. We're at
Yeah.
school.
Think happy
Think
thoughts.
happy thoughts."
Oh boy.
Or just tried to explain it away from me. And I was trying to go, "Hey, we use mad, sad, glad, and afraid.
Hmm.
What are you feeling right now?" "I'm sad," he said. And I said, that's good.
It's
That's
okay.
what you should be feeling. You're sad about your dog and that you had to put him down and so on. If he never gets to resolve that
Hmm.
in his mind and kind of feel it and let it out and feel
Hmm.
it's okay to cry, then that's going to get stuck,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And he'll deal with it when he's 60, like we do. Um, and it's not bad to be sad about the past. It's really kind of good. We want to experience that and grieve and do all the natural things that need to happen.
But the thing is if you aren't allowed to grieve a beloved teacher or a beloved pet at
Mhm.
8 and 9 years old, then you're still going to grieve them when you're 60,
Hmm.
because you haven't properly been able to grieve those things when you needed to grieve those things.
Exactly. That's exactly right. So, to understand how our nervous system stores trauma, I think we would both recommend The Body Keeps the
Oh,
Score.
yeah.
I wrote a book called Evolving from
From
Religious
religious.
Trauma,
Hmm.
which talks about that a little more in depth and kind of specifically about religious trauma and so on. But deepen your understanding of trauma so that you can be with your emotions and
Hmm.
feel them. Speaking of fear, next to the last topic we did, speaking of fear, um, it's going to make you vulnerable. You're going to feel vulnerable. There's no bravery without vulnerability,
Hmm.
right? So it's hard work, we always say. But unless you do the hard work, there's hard times ahead. I
Yeah,
would
for
just say
sure.
something like that,
Mm.
right? Do we
Yeah.
need to move on?
Yeah. So your next question is, who am I? So, and a lot of times when you come out of religion, especially if it's been traumatic, that's a big question because you've been told for so long who you are supposed to be, how you're supposed to act, what you're supposed to
What's a good
say.
Christian? Yeah.
Yeah. And so when you come out of that, I mean, I still like I can still feel this in my body. Those first few weeks, couple months not going to church, just really wondering like I don't even know what I like to do in my free time.
Hmm.
I don't even know very much about myself.
Hmm.
So I like this question for that reason because I still like can feel how that felt,
Right.
10, 12 years ago. So who am I is your question that you asked.
Right. So most of the people we've interviewed that go through deconstruction and question their faith, they ask those questions. There's almost like a PTSD.
Hmm.
They're still in shock, from all the religious stuff and so on, and just an identity crisis of I don't know who I am. What should I, like you said, what should I do? What do I believe? What do I believe?
Hmm.
Not what should I
Yeah.
believe?
What have I been told I need to believe?
What do I really believe? When stuff doesn't make sense, what kind of comes up in me and say, I really more believe along these lines, but that's probably not right, you know, and you're just so traumatized by religion, you have a hard time with those things.
Yeah.
What do I like to do? Who am I? Um, who do I really want to hang around? What do I really want to do with my free time?
Hmm.
I catch myself beating myself up for doing puzzles. We're hanging the puzzles on the wall now and trying to get them to stay. They tend to curl up and they want to come off the wall, so we're putting corners on them now today. But sometimes I sit down and beat myself up like you're not doing anything significant. You're just doing puzzles. But that's good for my nervous system and it regulates me and it um, gives me a little, one of my purposes. And I found out I really like to do it.
Yeah.
And so
There's nothing
sometimes
wrong with
people
that.
kind of brush up, well, you do puzzles, but
I don't know. The kids in my classroom, because I have one hanging in my classroom, they are super impressed by it. They're
yeah.
just like, how many pieces is that? How do all those pieces stay together? Like, I mean, they love it. So, I mean, and I know they're, 8, 9 years old, but still.
But to find out what you really want, what you really like, what you really believe, you have to get beyond fitting in.
Yeah.
None of it can be governed by what do people want me to
Yeah.
do? What do people expect of me? What do I, you know, and not to say, you don't have to have a job sometimes, you don't have to you have responsibilities.
Hmm.
You got to go replace the TV like we did last night.
Yeah.
There's things you have to do and
Right.
there's things you have to be and places you have to be and people you have to associate with. But what do I really want to do? What
Hmm.
do I really like? What do I think? What do I believe?
Right.
Beliefs are assumptions. They're not written in stone. They should be your own, not
Right.
something someone handed to you.
Yeah. Or not. Yeah. Or an organization handed to you.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, okay. Final question that I have. I don't know if you have, because we may have two different versions of the book, but this is the last question that I have for you.
Okay.
Am I getting better?
So I said for about 25 years, I've observed the inner workings of various smaller churches while assisting in planting and revitalizing several initiatives. No two efforts are the same, and churches often have distinct perspectives on what makes their ministries unique. But as individuals enter the church door, nearly as many exit through the other door,
Mhm.
choosing not to return. This trend has accelerated due to a greater access to information, prompting many to question their faith and explore alternative paths. Our primary objective is to attract new members, encourage their involvement, and foster engagement with the church so they'll remain active and contribute financially and volunteer their time, ensuring the organization's success. But I think my point in all that rambling was that it doesn't seem that we ever get around to actual healing.
Mm.
We never get around to the subject we're trying to talk about here. Am I getting better?
Uh-huh.
Am I really getting better?
Right.
Christianity promises, just make God the Lord of your life. Just commit. Just repent. And it's all going to be better.
Yeah.
But that's not true. It's
It's
not
not
even
true.
close to true.
No.
Some of the worst people are deep in it. Yeah, Mark Driscoll is one of the worst people on the planet, and he would consider himself the most committed
Oh,
Christian.
well, yeah,
He has
according to him.
he has
But
mental
yeah.
issues that he's never even worked on, much less
Mhm.
gotten better. And my question for you is not becoming out of religion, not how soon can you get a website up and start something new, like, and obviously I did some of that. I made some of those mistakes. But eventually the question keeps coming up, am I getting better?
Mhm.
Am I, we still have the same issues we had a long time ago. And to be honest, some of those things are just hard to start working on and hard to really get through and really get better. So I think we've got to keep asking ourselves those questions.
Mhm.
Am I getting better? Is this issue that causes us to fight or causes,
Mhm.
whatever in your life? Um, am I getting better? And if
Mhm.
not, let's start studying that and listen to survivor
That's what
stories.
I was going to say. You got to listen, that was something you kind of shared with me a couple days ago, or maybe it was just yesterday when we were driving to get our new TV because our old one broke down. But you've been reading a couple of books from survivors, from women who are survivors, and it's just like kind of caused you to reflect on some things that, you have maybe a little bit of remorse or sadness about. We didn't really go into talking about it, but because that's yours to deal with. But, I think that's important that you continue to do, not you, but that we as a
Yeah,
collective continue to do that, and continue to question. I'm still struggling in this area, let's be curious about that and how
yeah.
can we get better?
It said in the book, I believe there are several reasons why churches fail to address the needs of the congregation or help them effectively manage their trauma and their toxic shame. And the first one is they're too busy.
Hmm.
You agree with
Well,
that?
yeah, I do.
The programming is such that there's always something for you to do. They're even good at planning your kids' time for the
Hmm.
summer and everything else. They'll babysit them and indoctrinate them and all in one swoop,
I
right?
mean, the funny
Give
thing
them
is,
something to
like,
do, keep
in
them
these
busy.
in these small towns, like, I really do think that all the churches decide like when they're going to have their VBS so that kids can literally go to every church in the community at a different time. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
like you said, it's like free
it's
babysitting. It's like,
babysitting.
but they're also, just so you know, they're also being indoctrinated. And be careful because you're not there as a parent. You don't know what's being said. You think you might know because it might be your church, but
And
you
you hope
don't
it's good
know.
because it's a
And I really
church.
hope they're not sitting there saying that your child's going to go to hell. Because
I
that's,
feel
in my
I feel
opinion,
bad for
that
the
is
parents. I mean,
abuse.
I feel bad for the parents because I know that some of them are trying to both work
Exactly.
jobs, and
100%.
they're
Yeah.
like, oh, babysitting,
I mean, and
free babysitting.
is so freaking expensive. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But again, people have to make a living, so I can see both of it. But anyway, I interrupted you. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
so churches are just they're too busy. The scheduling is all planned out. They have things various times during the week for you to do, and those on staff people are not mental health professionals.
Hmm.
They might suggest you go to a counselor, but go to a biblical counselor, which
Yep.
is going to teach you how to go to church, read your Bible, and pray. And they're just too busy to do the hard work of healing your trauma takes time. It takes a lot of effort,
And
and
it
a lot of
seems to
people.
me like deconstruction. It may be something you work on for the rest of your life, and that's okay.
Yeah, but I would say the church just keeps you too busy to do that. We were in
That's
ministry
true.
for 20 years, solid 25 years probably
Hmm.
in getting ready for it and so on. But we didn't have time to go visit my family of origin very much.
Hmm.
We because everything was on the weekend. They kept me busy on the weekends. We
Hmm.
very seldom got to go home.
Well, and even Christmas, even if it wasn't on the weekends, you had like, Easter service, Christmas service, all that kind of stuff where we
Yeah.
couldn't be with family during those
And
holidays.
even when I would go on a retreat or something and try to do that, I would just think about how many things I had to do back at the church,
Hmm.
and it really didn't work out. I would say also they don't understand, number two, they don't understand the problem. They just don't understand trauma. And maybe they're starting to now, but it's, they're always way behind on everything like that. They don't get it that we need to talk to each other. We need to listen to each other, and we need to
And we need to
spend
take responsibility for,
all the things we're doing that's causing it.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. Well, and you're going to have to get rid of your bypassing language because when somebody's been traumatized, to sit there and go, God has a plan, maybe you just need to pray more, maybe it's you. You are just heaping on shame and trauma to that person.
Yeah.
Like you cannot keep using that kind of language if you really want your church to thrive, survive, and you want people to heal. You cannot continue with that kind of language.
Yeah. When pastors, I wrote, lack an understanding of psychological issues and the nature of trauma, they struggle to support their congregations effectively, unintentionally exacerbating situations. They might dismiss valuable practices, mistakenly believing they are acting appropriately due to a disconnect from scientific insights. The troubled church member could even face ridicule or additional trauma when criticized for lacking faith in God to overcome their challenges. So there's layer upon layer
Hmm.
of stuff there that
Yeah.
they don't understand
Right.
because they're bypassing it.
Uh-huh.
Number three, people are not allowed to complain. We can't ask questions. We can't um, even suggest that maybe the approach we have is wrong.
Hmm.
It's not working. Just because you can scare the shit out of somebody in a church service and get them to cry and come down to the front of the whatever
Front of the church. Yeah.
sanctuary
Yeah.
and then regulate them with
Hmm.
prayer,
Hmm.
put your arm around them and regulate them, get them to breathe again, doesn't mean you did anything significant
Right.
long term or you healed their trauma.
Right.
You really traumatized them and then just regulated them
Right.
back
Hmm.
and caused, in some cases, more problem for them. So,
Well, it's also a way to keep people coming back, if you think about it, because
sure,
you've traumatized them. They come down, you re-regulate them by putting your arm around them. That something clicks in your brain that says, "Oh, okay, this is a place where I can, feel safe and be healed." And they really understand me. But what your brain isn't grasping totally is that they were the ones that traumatized you in
they
the first
created the
place. Right.
crisis and then they took
Yeah.
credit for the breakthrough
Right.
from that crisis that
Hmm.
they created.
Hmm.
And it's not to say that people don't come in the church with problems.
Yes, but
But many times the things that go on there
hmm.
make it worse,
Right,
right? And
exactly.
they don't really heal it. Um, and it's been extensions of religion sometimes that helped me, the Benedictine sisters,
Uh-huh.
even though I and they would both criticize their leadership and their
Right.
religion a little bit, and the patriarchy especially,
Hmm.
and that power and control that many times makes it worse. But I think these questions are good. And the more we set with these kind of questions, the better off we'll be, whether you stay in organized religion
Right.
or get out of it.
Yeah.
We've got to be able to ask the questions. And then when there's not an answer, we can't jump to easy answers
Hmm.
or bypassing or making excuses for God or whatever. Listen, if God's not getting it done, then don't make excuses
Right.
for God or the church.
Yep.
Let's demand that they be better.
Yeah.
If God really is better, then he needs to demonstrate it.
Uh-huh.
If he's all powerful, all loving, and he loves us and he's kind and all those things, he should express it and he should make it real and he should make it where we can understand it.
Hmm.
And the same with the church. If it's really being effective, it shouldn't have to make excuses. It shouldn't have to tell us to be quiet and stop
Hmm.
asking questions.
Hmm.
It should open up and say, let's deeply examine
Yeah.
what we're doing. People are getting hurt.
Yep.
People are being traumatized
Hmm.
in church. Don't you care about that, or you just need to keep the trains running?
Yeah, we need to care about that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So we're all riled up now. We need to go back and
Yeah.
watch the
We're
second
gonna go
half of the
like
football
watch the
game.
football so we can like scream at the screen. So, but this has been a good
I
conversation.
think
I
so
don't
too.
know. Like once again, we're not trying to tell you what to do, what not to do, to go to church, to not go to church, but keep that critical thinking part of your brain online because, we want you to answer these questions for yourself in a true and honest way. These are the things that we've explored and that have brought us healing.
That person that I used to be their pastor, I want them to ask some questions really hard, to say, if Pastor Carl left the church, left Christianity, and now is spouting off about what's
The
changed
harm.
and the harm that's been done, why is he doing that? He's not, I think she knows I'm not stupid.
Mm-hmm.
But I want her to ask real questions, not just hide under the facade that she's a true believer and even Pastor Carl doesn't understand, and go more inward, be more critical of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I want her to ask questions and try to understand. And I don't want her to adopt my solutions or my answers as much as I want her to keep searching,
Right.
keep asking questions.
And make sure that she has her questions answered, whether she thinks she has any or not.
And some people misunderstood the campfires in the desert a little bit, that it might be stories from our interviews. Well, the interviews we do, we let them tell their story in the way they want to tell it.
They're not our stories to tell.
So we can't retell those stories without, I think, flubbing it up, not because we're
not our stories to tell.
Yeah, exactly. You got it right. But we did kind of repackage them into travel tips for deconstruction, like getting out of survival mode, getting away from your trauma, getting new friends, getting into your body. Those kind of things are things we learned listening to other people and experiencing those things ourselves. The questions in these last two episodes have been the second part of the book, good questions.
Yeah.
Is God a father? Is God retributive? Why do we need to go to church? Do we need religion? Do we need to worship? Are we addicted to religion? All those things we've been talking about.
Right.
So we hope you've enjoyed it and got something out of it.
If you need a book, you can't afford it, please reach out to Carl.
Yeah.
We're happy to, we're like, we're not in this to make money.
3 free books to 3 people a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
So we do that all the time.
Yep.
And we'd love to do it.
Or if you can afford to buy an extra, yourself a book and someone else a book and gift it to them, what a great gift.
Yeah. So I think on my Facebook page, all 3 of our last 3 books, the main ones, are shown there, and you could look them up. They're real easy to find. And we hope you get a lot out of them. Ask us questions, and we love to hear your feedback.
Yeah, absolutely.
As always, be where you are, be who you are, and be at peace.
Thank you for joining us today on the Desert Sanctuary podcast.
Remember, all who wander in the desert are not lost.
We believe all of our stories are sacred.
We are always here if you need someone to hear your story.
Check out our blog on Pathos and also our YouTube channel.
And stay tuned for our Leaning Forward conference.
Remember, we love you.
And be at peace.